Have you ever wondered what it would cost to employ a green, floating, ectoplasm-spreading disaster in your workplace? No? Well, too bad, because that's exactly what the Ghostbusters deal with every day thanks to their gluttonous, slime-slinging mascot, SLIMER. You know him, you love him. He's that lovable little green blob with a friendly face, a big burp, and who doesn't just haunt the halls? He eats everything in sight, drips sticky trail of ectoplasm, and leaves the Ghostbusters headquarters looking like a Jackson Pollock painting. We've always seen him as a friendly nuisance. But how much property damage would you say this maniac racked up over the years? You've been warned. Never ever let SLIMER have anything even mildly dangerous or edible. If he doesn't destroy it, he's going to destroy something else with it. Yet, he ended up as the Ghostbusters official mascot. But to find out how much he has caused New York and the Ghostbusters, let's calculate out the unthinkable. Just how much debt the SLIMER could actually owe. First, the most obvious problem, slime damage. Every time SLIMER shoots across the room, he leaves behind a gooey green trail. Think about all the time he's flown through the restaurants, movie theaters, hotels, or even just down a busy street. Every time, it's the same result. Walls coated in ectoplasm, carpets ruined, electronics fried, and an unmistakable stench that no amount of air freshener can fix. And this isn't normal grime, it's supernatural residue. You can't just mop it with soap and water. We like to believe it's corrosive, sticky, and needs very specialized cleaning. In the real Ghostbusters, the team is constantly seen wiping, mopping, or flat out hiring cleaning services after one of his sliming episodes. A professional biohazard cleaning team today can charge anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per incident, depending on how much space is contaminated. SLIMER leaves messes like this at least once or twice per episode of the real Ghostbusters. With every year, that is $1.5 million per season. Multiply that by the show's 7-season run, and you're looking at well over $10.5 million in public cleaning bills alone. And that's just the city. The firehouse, the Ghostbusters' own headquarters, gets it even worse. SLIMER doesn't just pass through once in a while. He slimes the place every single day. For a constant cleanup for the year, this sounds like astronomical hundreds of thousands just to keep their home base livable. Multiply that across all 7 seasons, that's another crazy hundreds, if not couple of millions of dollars burned straight into the Ghostbusters budget. And that's just cleaning. What about structural damage? SLIMER has this habit of flying through walls, doors, and ceilings like drywall is his personal plaything. Sure, he's intangible most of the time, but when he decides to get physical, a door is smashed off its hinges, plaster crumbles, light fixtures are knocked loose, and we see it again and again in the cartoon. Repairing firehouse-grade historical architecture isn't cheap. Let's keep each major repair at $5,000 and assume it happens once a month. That's 60 grand per year in structural damage alone! The next one might be the Ghostbusters' single biggest headache. SLIMER loves to mess with proton packs, traps, and even the containment unit. In one episode, he accidentally activates the containment system, nearly unleashing every captured ghost back into New York. Do you know what it costs to keep that nuclear-powered ghost jail safe and functional? Probably around hundreds of thousands. Even if Egon can do most of the repairs himself, the replacement parts alone would run at least $100,000 for every major screw-up. Across the series, we see SLIMER mess with tech at least half a dozen times, which means $600,000 minimum in damages to Ghostbuster hardware. Oh, and let's not forget personal property damage. Venkman in particular takes the brunt with slime suits, destroyed couches, broken TVs, and food stolen from the fridge. And Egon's fried lab equipment, Ray's ruined books, and Winston's lost tools. And we're talking thousands more. Realistically, another $50,000 over the series in miscellaneous damages. If there's one thing SLIMER loves even more than sliming people, it's food. Mountains of food with endless piles of hot dogs, burgers, pizza, cake. If it's edible, it's gone the second SLIMER sees it. And here's the kicker. SLIMER doesn't pay for any of it. But that's not the only problem we have here. SLIMER doesn't just eat a sandwich. He eats the whole tray, the plate, and somehow the tablecloth. Hold on, what? Restaurant bills in New York with that appetite? Doesn't sound like a fun idea. In the real Ghostbusters, it's practically a running gang that Slimer raids the fridge at home or clears out entire restaurants in seconds. On screen, it's funny. In real life, it's theft on a catastrophic scale. Let's break it down. At the firehouse, Slimer is shown eating the Ghostbusters groceries almost daily. Assuming the team spends around $500 a week feeding 4 grown men and Slimer devours half of it, classic Slimer. That's about $13,000 a year in wasted groceries. In multiple episodes, Slimer zips into diners, delis, and bakeries, cleaning out shelves before anyone can stop him. One scene shows him eating entire trays of pastries. In another, he drains a hot dog cart dry. A commercial kitchen losing hundreds of dollars of food in one go? That's not just a lost product, that's lost business. Let's say every time Slimer goes on a binge, the damages run about $1,000. Across the series, we see him do this at least 20 times. So that's $20,000 in stolen goods and damages. And remember, Slimer doesn't discriminate. He eats everything. Imported cheeses, rare wines, and even Egon's experimental food formulas. If you've ever seen him gulp down something glowing, you know that wasn't from the corner deli. Some of those things could easily run into the thousands. Conservatively, another $15,000 in destroyed specialty food and lab resources. Now add in cleanup costs, because Slimer doesn't just eat. He explodes slime everywhere while eating. In fact, half the gang is him showering everyone around him in green goo while chewing. Like we mentioned previously, his goo isn't easy to clean up. So restaurants covered in slime would need professional sanitation before reopening. A full hazmat scrub of a dining establishment can be around $5,000. And if he slimes even 10 eateries that way, that's another $50,000 on the bill. Now let's take Slimer out of the kitchen and put him on the streets. Because if you thought a haunted firehouse fridge was bad, just wait until you see what happens when New York City itself gets slimed. Slimer's constant buzzing around town leads to accidents, damaged vehicles, and more than a few traumatized New Yorkers. In dozens of episodes, Slimer zips through traffic or plows right into cabs, leaving windshields and interiors coated in ectoplasmic goo. In some cases, drivers get out and crash just trying to avoid him. A full detail and hazmat slime cleanup is around like $2,000. Multiply that by the dozens of taxis and cars Slimer has ruined over the years, and we're easily looking at $50,000 in damages. Slimer doesn't stop at cars. He slimes subway cars, buses, and even an airplane cabin. Yes, that happened. A single deep clean of a subway car runs around $30,000, and a bus about $10,000. If he slimes even 2 subway cars and 3 buses across the series, that's $90,000 in cleanup costs right there. There are also multiple times where Slimer crashes into storefronts, smashes display windows, or knocks over market stalls while chasing food. Each storefront repair could easily cost $5,000 to $10,000. Across the series, that's another $100,000 in property repair. But here's something we rarely think about. Slime is slippery. Every time Slimer coats a street or sidewalk, it creates a public safety hazard. Slip and fall lawsuits in New York average around $50,000 per case. Imagine the flood of claims after one slimed-up block sends half a dozen pedestrians sliding into each other like bowling pins. That's another $300,000 in liability from lawsuits alone. And then there's the lost business revenue. Whenever Slimer trashes a restaurant, theater, or subway station, it doesn't reopen instantly. In New York, every hour a business is shut down can cost thousands in lost revenue. If even 5 restaurants or shops had to close for just a couple of days after being slimed, the city could easily lose another $200,000 in economic activity. So all told, Slimer's little joyride through New York don't just slime cars and break windows. They cause issues in the city's economy, stacking millions in damages on top of an already gooey mess. And then, of course, there's the group that suffers the most from Slimer's antics, the Ghostbusters themselves. Because if you live with a hungry slime, your expenses don't stop at groceries. Slimer constantly messes with the Ghostbusters' high-tech equipment. The most obvious victims are the proton packs. These nuclear-powered weapons aren't exactly built to tolerate repeated slimings. But Slimer never seems to get the memo. Each repair could easily cost $20,000. Across dozens of episodes where Slimer gums up their gear, that's at least $500,000 in repairs! But that wasn't the only time the Ecto-1 was damaged. On one occasion in the episode Killer Watts, Slimer was playing with the steering wheel and caused the car to roll down a hill with the team inside. Wow! And Peter had to climb out to reach the emergency brake. We can estimate the cost of the repairs for the undercarriage and body damage from this incident alone to be at least $50,000. After all, this isn't your average ride. It's the Ecto-1, a one-of-a-kind, nuclear-powered Ghostmobile. And here's an expense most people forget. Uniforms. Every Ghostbuster owns a jumpsuit, and Slimer seems to treat them like napkins. In the cartoon, he soaks the team head to toe so frequently that it's impossible to believe those tan suits last more than a handful of missions before needing replacement. At roughly $200 each, multiply the cross for men. With replacements needed every few weeks, you're easily looking at another $30,000 across the series just in ruined uniforms and protective gear. So when you put it together, Slimer's freeloading ways have cost his friends roughly $780,000 in direct, tangible expenses just for the equipment and their beloved Ghostmobile. And that's not even touching on the emotional toll of living with him day in and day out. Though judging by Peter Venkman's constant eye-rolling, that bill might be priceless. Alright, let's put it all together. We've followed the trail of green slime from the firehouse fridge, to New York taxis, to subway cars, to proton packs worth more than most people's houses. But now it's time to add up every ruined wall, every stolen hot dog, and every slimed suit jacket and see what the total damage really is. Starting small. From hazmat crews to constant firehouse scrubs, the cleanup bills alone rack up millions before Slimer's even left home. Add in his never-ending food addiction, where he eats everything from diner menus to Egon's glowing experiments, and the grocery and restaurant bills stack fast. Then factor in the citywide chaos, slime calves, broken storefronts, subway deep cleans, even lawsuits from unlucky pedestrians who slipped on his goo. And, of course, the Ghostbusters themselves get hit the hardest, footing the bill for fried proton packs and a constantly slimed-up Ecto-1. When you put it all together, Slimer's freeloading antics have cost $25 million over the course of the series. What? You've gotta be kidding me! $25 million! That's not spilled milk money. That's the kind of cash that could buy multiple Manhattan skyscraper floors, fund 2 blockbuster movies, or cover the Ghostbusters rent for centuries. And here's the kicker. Slimer doesn't have a job, doesn't pay taxes, and doesn't even apologize for any of it. He just smiles, burps, and goes looking for the next buffet. So while Slimer might be the lovable, goo-dripping mascot of the Ghostbusters, financially speaking, he's less of a sidekick and more of a $25 million liability. And the real question is, how much longer can the Ghostbusters actually afford to keep him around? And yet, here's the twist. Despite the millions in damages, the Ghostbusters never banish him, never lock him up, never truly turn him away. Why? Because at the end of the day, Slimer is more than just chaos. He's a reminder that even in the middle of New York's supernatural madness, sometimes the things that cost you the most are also the things you can't imagine living without. Sure, Slimer might owe the world over $25 million, but maybe his real debt can be measured in dollars and cents. Maybe it's in loyalty, comic relief, and a strange kind of heart that only the Ghostbusters, and we as the audience, would ever value. If you had fun breaking down the hidden costs of ghostbusting, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Because when it comes to supernatural expenses, who you gonna call?